All right, we're off.
There we go. All right, so we have prologue starting off the hardest level in the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I should stop using that running joke. It's getting old. Anyway, so you see the runners hopping a lot. That's because jumping is actually a little bit faster in the prologue. Each jump saves about 2 frames. The height doesn't matter, as each jump itself saves you 2 frames because of a slight speed boost.
Yeah. So overall, it's gonna save about like 1 second throughout the prologue here. So
Just about, yeah. About a
it's
second.
free time, so
average.
there's really never a reason not to do it.
Yeah. Except when you die like me. That's never good.
I think everyone's just died in prologue at least once.
The race prologue strats, you gotta jump a little bit less.
Absolutely.
You'd be a little bit safe.
And we do have a deathless prologue, so the race is going.
Yes, this is off to a good start. Okay, so the runners gain the ability to dash, and as you might imagine, that is going to be the basis of this speedrun. The dash combined with a jump mechanic as well to provide and conserve momentum respectively through the use of hyper dashes and dash canceling, as well as a neat little wall bounce strat there from starcrunsher to get through that moving zipper room.
Yeah, wall bounces are especially prevalent here in the first chapter because there's a lot of vertical places all around the city.
Yeah, city, especially as a first level, is very good at showcasing a lot of the speed tech for this game.
Yeah, showing very well how you can use all your for dashes, also showing a bit of how moving blocks can give you momentum, which we'll use for some interesting strats later on the run. Starcrunsher using a wave dash there to get past that little zipper and skipping using it entirely. Also.
Yeah, so extended hyper dashing is also going to be very prevalent for both these runners. What an extended hyper dash is you have a 5-frame window. It's between 10 and 15 frames after you dash to actually jump and get a hyper dash while maintaining your dash in midair, which is extremely useful and can gain you extra distance as well as speed in some cases.
So both runners now finishing up with City here. Very solid start from both runners. Didn't see too many mistakes. So
yeah, for sure.
A very solid start here. Moving into old side now.
Chapter 2 is going to introduce a new mechanic, a couple new mechanics actually, or just one new mechanic and one plot device. But what's that in a speedrun? But pretty soon starcrunsher and Sonic are going to activate this mirror here, and bring out the inner half of you, which activates these dream blocks, which you can dash into one side and come out the other. It's pretty straightforward, but you can't change direction inside the dream blocks.
Yeah, and you also have to be a bit careful, because if you dash into a wall, you will get splattered, which is never nice. And now starcrunsher moving into the second part here. So we're gonna see the part that Teach was talking about earlier. We're just gonna chase you now, copying your every movement with a 3-second delay, I believe.
Yep, about 3 seconds.
Yeah. And for the first couple rooms here, we're gonna see the runners just basically running away from Badline. However, in later rooms they will require some backtracking, so keeping track of where Badline is gonna move is gonna be important.
Yeah, there are only a couple of rooms where battle line even really comes into play for speedrunners. As you can see, battle line is getting left in the dust in most of these screens, but this screen right here in particular for starcrunsher, they can be really annoying, but he pulls off a pretty impressive strat there to fall in between them. This screen right here can be really annoying as well.
Nice,
so very nicely done there.
Now Sonic also going into those rooms here.
Yep. Sonic
a bit of extra time there.
Similar strat, but falling behind them instead. Much safer.
Doesn't waste too much time either, so very respectable here in the tournament setting after all. Ooh, just barely gets under those bad lines.
Yeah, that was tight.
starcrunsher now in the wake section here, so there's not really anything that can kill you here, but it's just going to be a lot of trying to move as fast as possible with some precise hypers there and there to not get stuck on corners and pillars and the like.
Very respectable 201 there for starcrunsher. Anything around 2 minutes is very good for old site.
Yeah, absolutely.
We see Sonic navigating his way through the Awake section as well. That part can be very intensive with movement. Like honestly, like kind of sneaky how technical the movement is there through the Awake section.
Yeah. There's just a lot of corners and like piddles anyway that can just randomly take your momentum, as well as the springs. But so it can be a bit annoying, but at least you can't die. So it's something.
Yep, exactly. You say that, but I think I actually died there the other day for somehow. Maybe it was the part before.
I have questions.
Anyway, Starcruncher.
Okay,
Enough about my deaths. Starcruncher, moving into chapter 3. Very cycle-based chapter, very technical chapter. Chapter a lot of runners don't really like that much, but because it is very technical, yeah.
Yeah, this chapter is debating my existence. So, as Teach said, it is a cycle-based chapter, and a lot of these rooms will have 2 different cycles, one upon entry and one upon death in the room. So, the death will not only cost the death, but actually might have to, or force you to use a worse cycle for that room.
Yeah, we'll see the strats they use if they choose to try to skip some of the cycles or not. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so for a lot of the strats, there will be no shame in going a little bit safer in order to, well, be safe through a lot of these rooms. Huge mess stream here. Technical, precise movement to avoid a lot of these nooks and crannies.
Yeah, it's a bit one of the more annoying, like just small parts here to speed them, because you can't really utilize your hyper dashes and dash hunts and whatnot because of all these narrow pathways. Starcruncher, you're doing a very nice ultra there to get past that room very quickly.
Ooh, wow, that was close. Whew. You see, yep, there we go. Starcruncher doing something there. We like to call a quote-unquote spike jump, even though it's not really a spike jump. We just call it that for convenience, but it's basically just jumping off of the wall. It's not jumping off of the spikes. Basically, the way spike hitboxes work is if you're moving in the same direction they essentially don't have a hitbox. So you can just like go right through them, basically, and we use that to our advantage.
Yeah, so if you actually wall jump underneath, you will be moving away from them as soon as you enter the hitbox.
Yep, exactly.
It's used in a couple more places later, so it's very neat mechanic.
This huge mess section, by the way, is routed very particularly. So you'll notice that when each of these sections get completed, a lot of the debris from the middle room gets eliminated, and also debris from the levels, these sub-levels, I guess I'll call them, themselves get eliminated as well. And we route this way because Oshiro is in a certain fixed spot after you complete each, or a certain number of the levels of these little sections. So we route so that Oshiro is just the closest to where we exit the sections.
Okay. So as we discussed earlier, huge mess can be a bit weird to navigate, so by routing so that we can talk to Oshiro as fast as possible, we don't have to spend time running through all of those little narrow pathways.
Yeah, since that is like definitely the most annoying room to actually navigate in chapter 3 for sure. Like,
absolutely.
We choose to minimize the movement in that room.
And Starcruncher has now finished up with a huge mess. Sonic Blaster moving into the last section there. So a couple rooms of Starcrunchers now, and it's some fairly long rooms here before the finale of this chapter.
Starcruncher coming up on the infamous key screen.
Right, the other bane of my
very
existence.
well done there.
Ooh.
Hypering all the way across.
Very, very well done. That's a lot trickier than it looks. It's kind of precise
really
with the timing
is,
for each of the jumps. I still have barely managed to learn it, and I've run this game for like a couple months. On and off, to be fair. But anyway, Sonic is now also finished up with Huge Smash, moving into the elevator shaft. Meanwhile, Starcruncher is now going into the Oshiro section here.
So basically, Battleline told Oshiro that his hotel's a dump, so he's chasing you around and trying to kill you on the roof of his hotel, as is the custom for hotel owners to do when you don't like their hotel and leave a negative review or whatever. So basically, Battleline, caused all this, and now we're running from Oshiro. This part is very technical as well. Lots of really nuanced movement throughout here. Especially on the last screen, which we're going to come up on here soon.
So this room and the last room has a bit of the weirdness because of the sort of intertwining cycles of both Oshiro's movement and the Dust Bunny, so it can be quite easy to get tripped up. Starcruncher is blasting through this last room, getting a little tripped up there, but it's still moving through at a very good pace.
Yeah, it's really hard to move through this screen cleanly, but he does it very well.
One very small trip up, so that was a very clean resort overall. So the 522, pretty good time. Especially for a tournament setting where you kind of want to go slower, so.
Meanwhile, we have Sonic.
And now Sonic is...
Also, sorry, I keep interrupting you. Meanwhile, we have Sonic also making his way to the Oshiro section.
Great minds think alike, right?
Yeah, seriously. Sometimes.
And we now have Starcruncher starting up with the Golden Bridge here, so as with all the chapters, introduces some new mechanics here. We have green bubbles, which act like a secondary dash when you get into them. There's also this wind that acts like wind and pushes you around. And we also have clouds that, for some reason, that unbeknownst to me, works like trampolines.
Yeah, and one thing you'll notice as Chapter 4 goes on is that the wind mechanic essentially doesn't matter too much to the runners because dashing actually negates the wind pushing you. So basically, you'll notice, especially in a headwind, it's especially apparent. If you dash, the wind actually doesn't affect your dash at all. And as such, it also doesn't affect hyper dashes at all.
Yeah. Sonic now also in the last room here. Ooh, just barely gets under Oshiro there. That was pretty scary. Just finished up there as well. Fairly clean resort overall from both runners, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, for sure. Very nice double wall bounce strat there from Starcruncher to bypass the left block there. And we'll see what kind of strat Starcruncher does here for this auto-scroller skip, assuming he does it.
My money is on extended hyper.
Yep, extended hyper it is. You can also hyper and bunny hop, which is slightly faster, but a lot more dangerous. But very respectable there for Starcruncher to go with the safer strat in a race.
Absolutely. It doesn't save or lose that much time. It's like what, a second maximum, I think.
It's even less. It's like 0.8 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Of a difference. Nice reverse hyper dash there from Starcruncher.
Gets a dash jump there in the second one, but does have a backup there, so
yep. That's what I like about that strat is if you mess it up, you aren't losing a lot of time.
Yeah, I might have to try that. I usually go for a wave dash on the little platform above, so don't really have backups, unfortunately. Sonic Blaster is now also started up here with the Golden Ridge, so he's a bit behind so far, but still doing pretty well here in the race. Starcruncher, they're going for a little bit of a smart use of the wind cycle. Does a bit a misinputted dash there, so he has to take it slow route, unfortunately.
So here's where Chapter 4 really starts to ramp up in difficulty. This last minute or so of Chapter 4. So you see the wind ramp up. You'll see less and less floor. You'll see more advanced strats, most likely.
So this is also probably the biggest difference so far between casual players and speedrunners, because we can use hyper dash to negate so much of the this heavy wind here, while more casual players would barely be able to walk and just sort of dash sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Keep in mind that a casual player is not supposed to know that a hyper dash exists at this point.
Yeah.
Whereas you learn hyper dashes in 8C, I believe.
Yeah, the very last.
Yes.
Very last sub-chapter of the game. Level, I think is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, the very last seaside. Starcruncher finishing up there, Chapter 4.
Yeah. 330, pretty respectable. We had a couple of deaths in the harsh wind section there, so lost a bit of time, but still a pretty good time overall.
Now we have Chapter 5, my personal favorite chapter.
I think Golden Ridge is probably my favorite. So do you wanna? Since this your favorite after all, you wanna talk about the mechanics here real quick?
Sure. So the red bubbles basically act as an infinite dash. You jump into them and they propel you in a direction infinitely until you hit something or until you dash out of them. And you can see starcruncher actually did a skip there, which allowed him to skip one of the red bubbles on the left side, coming all the way back. I believe he actually did the reverse hyper strat. If I
yeah, it did look like that.
So
we did a little skip cutscene glitch there as well. That's nice.
Ooh, starcruncher trying the depth boost there and getting it successfully. I call it the depth boost. I don't think enough people really do it to have a name yet, to be honest.
Probably not. It's not that common of a strat. It only really saves times, or saves a noteworthy amount of time if you also get the corner boost there in the end, so...
Yeah, it saves only a half a second if you don't get the corner boost, but if you get the corner boost, it saves about 3 seconds.
Yeah. And now starcruncher going to light up this mirror here and then meet some new friends.
For lack of a better term.
Yeah, I don't know, I like referring to the friends because sarcasm is my way of life.
So you play as this Seeker here, as they're called, for a minute, in kind of a genius way of game design there to teach you how they work.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like one of the most eye-opening moments here, but I was like, this game is really good.
Yeah.
So these Seekers do have some interesting properties. They do home in on Madeline, not just once like these snowballs or Zero before, but also once they've started moving, they will keep tracking your position. And you can sort of manipulate this in the next couple rooms here to make them unlock these doors for you, or get the coins for these doors at least.
starcruncher opting for the back and forth strat there. That's one I haven't seen in a while, actually. Alright, so this last room coming up and unraveling for starcruncher is, I've said it in every race so far, but it can basically make or break your chapter 5 for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
You can lose a lot of time in this room, especially. Okay, good. I didn't commentator's curse. Good. Please get up. Okay, thank you. Thank you. You saved me. You saved me from the commentator's curse. Okay. But yeah, that room can be really tricky, especially near the end there.
Absolutely. That little Seeker can sort of do what it wants sometimes, so making sure you don't die there can be a bit tricky sometimes. Coming up now on Search Skip, the biggest skip in the game there. So normally here you would have to collect 2 keys and then take a red bubble, so that saves about 2-3 minutes, depending on how fast you are, I guess. With just a reverse extended dash jump there from Star, so very nicely done.
Coming up on the Theo section really quick, to explain what the runners have to deal with Theo. Basically, you cannot dash with Theo, so you have to find other ways to provide and conserve your momentum with Theo. And so what they choose to do, basically what you're forced to do in this case, is you throw Theo, and then you hyper dash or dash cancel into him and grab him midair to get that momentum instead of just dashing. And as such, this part is very input heavy and thus very technical part of Chapter 5. It's one of the most technical parts of the entire game. It's very difficult.
Absolutely. And we now also see Sonic Blaster moving into the unraveling section, so he's also met up with these friends, and so he's a couple minutes behind starcruncher here, but he's still doing fairly good in this race, I gotta say. Yeah,
this gap is definitely not insurmountable for Sonic33 for sure. Anything can happen on the last 3 chapters.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, starcruncher having a bit of trouble there with that dash block.
Yeah, this strat can be really finicky there that starcruncher tried if you grab Theo too quickly, you can actually not jump by accident, and yeah, that happens to me a lot personally, actually. But so I can totally feel that when it happens.
Very clean last room there from starcruncher as well. And now going into the actual last room, where this eyeball is going to send out these, I guess they're energy pulses. So you can dash through them there, which he did to good efficiency or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, that was nicely handled.
To get to the last room.
Sonic33 with the dodges.
Oh,
the dodges
and
on the Seeker.
That was a really nice couple of saves there. Wow. And starcruncher now starting up with reflection here. So as is tradition, we have new mechanics. This time we're going to start off here with the feather. The one part that you can control omnidirectionally in this game. And by using analog and turning, I think it's less than 13 degrees.
I believe so. It's some stupid number. It's either 13 or 17. Some prime number. One of those prime numbers.
I like prime numbers. Anyway, so yeah, by turning small enough turns, you will be able to conserve your speed a little bit better. Which can save you a couple seconds throughout the run, so...
Yeah, Chapter 6 is kind of a pain in the butt chapter, in the sense that it's full of little tiny strats that save you only a little bit of time, but are fairly difficult to execute. And we'll see how many of those strats that starcruncher decides to go for here, as well as Sonic. There's one of them right there.
Nice enough.
Ooh, a nice continuation of that strat as well to extended hyper through there, as opposed to doing the, there's another one there. Yeah, so starcruncher pretty much going all out here in Chapter 6, which is good to see.
So here in this part of reflection, there is a forked path, so you can choose going up and down in most of these rooms, and most of the runners will go pretty much the same way. There are a couple of rooms that people go different ways for a number of reasons. Especially the last room, there's quite a split between which path runners go, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's pretty much up to the runners which way they decide to go, as long as you remember bottom route, best route.
I think I agree. I don't remember which one is bottom one. Yeah, this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Perfect. So utilizing these bumpers here, they have a kind of a interesting mechanic where if you hold away on the frame that you hit them, you will get about twice the distance. It's pretty much used in that strat alone in this section. It's actually like for a strat rather than just speed. So an interesting mechanic, but not used too much.
Yeah, starcruncher having a very clean Chapter 6 so far.
And meanwhile, Sonic barely avoids that there by the Seeker as he's now entering the very last room here of Mirror Temple, and he's going to join for reflection. It's looking like he's going to be about 3 minutes behind-ish going into reflection.
Sonic having a bit of trouble with the waves from the eyeball there. That part can be especially tricky, actually, because players need to actually dash after the wave hits them, which can be a little bit unintuitive. But you're not dashing through the waves; you're dashing after the waves, essentially. There.
Oh. Well, that explains why I've had such problems with that. Okay, thanks.
Very nice battle there from starcruncher. That's a hyper dash into a bunny hop off of the Kevin block. To gain enough speed there to bunny hop all the way to battle and just hit her like a truck. It's very nicely done there.
And now we do have the balanced fight strategy of starcruncher, so it's not going to be that many new mechanics in this part, but there is a lot of pretty precise movement here to be able to get into balanced phase and punching her as much as we can, and as fast as we can, of course.
And still just full of little tiny optimizations. That starcruncher, again, for the most part, is nailing quite well.
Yeah, he's having a really clean reflection so far. Hopefully we're not gonna curse that.
Yeah, just don't say anything till they can't blame you for commentator's curse.
Okay. So let's just keep quiet for the next, like, kind of 10 minutes, 15 minutes until it's done, yeah?
Yeah, just don't say anything. That's the best kind of commentary.
Alright, we'll see you guys in a couple minutes. We'll see you guys when
Alright, yeah, we'll see you guys later. Alright, bye. In all seriousness, yeah, so we're not going anywhere.
I'm already gone. What? Ooh.
His mic's already muted. Sorry, yeah.
Very nice. A bit of risks out there in the last room for starcrunsher there. You can do a double dash to skip second laser, but it can be kind of tricky. It's happened to me a couple times at least where I just die on the same frame, which is always an interesting thing to happen.
Yep.
But starcrunsher is still having an incredibly clean reflection, so. And Sonic is now also in the last couple rooms there of the hollow section, so he's also going to be starting to chase down Badline pretty soon.
Nicely navigated there by starcrunsher there.
Now the last room here for starcrunsher can be a bit tricky here. It's a pretty long room with some kind of tight spike walls here. Ooh.
Ooh. Okay. Alright. We're through, everything's fine.
So he's gonna be finishing up here with about a 6:20, 6:30-ish, which is a pretty good time for reflection, especially for what his PB is.
Yeah, that last room in the battle line section can definitely be adventurous, to say the least, especially when things don't go well down the stretch for it. Like, he was going for it all with the cycle there, and yeah, managed to avoid the laser just at the last second. And 25 flat, chapter 6 there for starcrunsher. So a good summit here will equal a mid-30s time or so.
His PB on SRC is at 3063. I'm not sure if that's his actual actual PB. If it is, though, he's having an incredibly good run.
Yeah, if it is, this is I mean, not to say anything too prematurely, but this is definitely it is a very possible PB for starcrunsher for sure.
Yeah. And we have Sonic Blast now in this little room with the couple of skips here between the spikes. Goes for the second checkpoint there, which is very respectful as well. And gonna start the battle line fight here in a couple rooms as well. So for Summit, it's just gonna be a recollection of all the chapters here. He has just finished up with the Reflection-esque chapter, and gonna move through 1 through 5, and then finally climb the very summit, or the very top of the mountain.
That was pretty swag there from starcrunsher. That stride with the bumpers. I don't think I've ever seen going below that bumper look pretty cool.
I missed it. Whoops. So yeah, we now see these zipper blocks back here, and we actually used a bit more here than in chapter 1, because in chapter 1 we can skip most of them. But here we actually do need them for some both vertical and or height and some distance. Words are hard.
I agree. I also concur.
Finishing up there with 500 and going into 1K, which is, I think, my second favorite to watch runners do, actually. Just because nailing these stream blocks is the most satisfying thing to look at.
So fun fact, you can actually hyper dash out of these stream blocks as well as jump out of them. However, it is very risky.
Not quite sure how precise the inputs for that are. I'm not sure if you know.
Yeah, it's just a few frames, honestly. I'm not sure exactly how how big the window is, but it is pretty tight. And if you miss a dash, like if you miss the window for it, you just dash straight down to the right, and it's ugly. Like right there, you just dash down to your death. There's nothing you can do about it.
Well, starcrunsher upping there for the safety and just going for some jumps there. So getting through here, just still a very good pace. Nice little diagonal dash through those double dream blocks. Because your hitbox doesn't actually leave the dream blocks, you can just dash right through both of them.
Yeah, 1500 is I think, in my opinion, it's the most exciting part of Summit. It's definitely the most technical part of Summit for sure.
Absolutely, it's a lot of really cool strats. For me personally, it's just the chapter I'm just looking the least forward to because I don't like this chapter, man. So not going for the ultra shot actually, going a bit slower there, but still very, very quick to do that.
Oh,
no!
That's a shame because he was about a frame or so from getting past that just fine. So that is painful to see, but okay, we're through. That's fine.
Okay, that's a pretty nice strat there. Usually, or you see a lot of the top runners going for a couple of chained ultra dashes there. But
yeah, that strat is very hard to pull off.
Yeah,
though.
absolutely. And that was still a very, very quick way to get through that room, even without the ultras. And now he's finishing up here. 1500 are going to go into the 2K section. And meanwhile, Sonic in the I think it's like 4 rooms left here on the Battleline fight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, I think it's more like 4.5 with how long the last room of the Battleline section is.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, 2 rooms left, including this one of the Battleline fight, and then I think the 3 question mark rooms of the last section.
Yeah, I think it's 3. I just see it as one long big room instead, but to each their own. starcrunsher now moving into the 2000 here. Nice little hyper dash there on the He's going up on this auto scroller here. We'll see if he goes for the skip.
Oh, for sure.
Looks like he's going for it, yeah. Very nicely done there. And then the wall bounce.
Yep. Very nice.
Very nice done there. First try, easy every time. And now Sonic has finished up with the Battleline fight here. He did have a pretty clean, at least the end here. Does seem like he had some deaths throughout the reflection, but still a pretty good, solid time overall. And starcrunsher is looking to have a really, really good summit so far, actually. Not too many big mistakes other than that one long room in 1500. So, he is on pretty good pace. And now Sonic is also going to join him here in the summit, so starting off at 0, and he's going to work his way up.
Yep, so we're going to look for starcrunsher here to do a couple of really cool strats through 2500.
Oh, including your favorite, right?
Yes, my favorite as well as everybody's
Literally
obvious favorite, it
favorite.
seems, these days. But first we're going to do something called key skip here. He's going to double neutral jump off of these spikes perfectly, very nicely done. First try. So that bypasses the entire southern room where you have to take a bubble up, which is the intended way to do that skip, or get that key rather. The intended way to skip. that sounds funny.
There are actually some intended ways to skip here, but that was a bit earlier. Little tight squeeze there between those, very nicely done. Let's see. Oh,
going for
the spring entirely.
The spring. He's not doing door skip.
Which is fine. It only saves like 9 years, so we'll see how.
The run is dead. I'm just kidding. It's very not dead. The door skip only saves 1 second.
It's like almost never worth it unless you're going for like world record, I guess.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
It's just a dumb meme that everyone seems to love.
It is. I want to make that very clear that is just a meme. So we're gonna add about 3 to 3.5 minutes of time here, and that'll be the suspected time that starcrunsher gets here. That's how long 3000 takes about. So 3000 meters is mostly a vertical climb, as you're gonna see right away. So starcruncher will be taking advantage of wall bounces.
Yeah, it's gonna be used in almost every little checkpoint here.
Yeah, just to maintain his vertical momentum.
Yes, we do have this this downdrift here, so it's gonna give starcrunsher a bunch more gravity, so it's not gonna be able to jump as high, which is why the wall bounces are so important here.
So far, playing very solidly.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, we have Sonic just entering the 1000-meter part of Summit, dealing with these dream blocks pretty nicely, utilizing the spring there. It's a little bit too low to skip the spring, so he used it.
Doesn't lose that much time either, so
No,
very
not at all.
respectful. Oh, accidentally dashed into that wall. That was interesting. I actually don't think I've seen that. That must be pretty precise to be able to do that. And starcrunsher now in the updraft section here, so of course it's not downdrift, it's updrift, so we're gonna have lower gravity, higher jumps, more floatness, all the good things.
Basically the underwater level of Summit.
I mean, I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
It does feel like it feels kind of like water physics. Taking great care to align himself well for that wall bounce. Nice neutral jump around the spikes.
And we have Sonic there in the 15-hour section here. It's doing fairly good so far in Summit. So we'll see how that ends up. starcrunsher now on the 9 last flags here of the Summit. So it's going to be finishing up here in about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes-ish.
Yeah, this 3000 has been extremely solid for starcrunsher, who we can only assume is on PB pace right now based on his SRC time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming in clutch here.
Even if it's
PB.
even if it's not PB, it's a really, really good time, especially for a tournament-based setting. But yeah, last 3 flags now.
That's okay.
Small
That's
left
okay.
I think he had like 2 or 3 very small deaths throughout this entire 2000, which is very, very good.
Yep.
Especially if you're on PB pace, this is gonna be a very nerve-wracking section. There's quite a lot of, like, pretty
absolutely.
tight strats almost everywhere, so him doing it this cleanly is very, very nice to see. And there he
Flag
goes.
2 going very well. And now for flag 1. As we approach time ending for starcrunsher. Very nicely done with a 35-12.
That's a really, really good time. I will be very intrigued if that 36.53 is actually his PB, because that's like almost a 2-minute PB in that case.
Yeah. Very nice showing for starcrunsher.
Yeah, he played that incredibly solidly throughout the entire run. Not too many big mistakes at all. So, big congratulations there.
And we have Sonic 33 successfully. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Successfully doing the auto scroller skip in 2000 meters.
Yeah, Sonic has had a bit of a rougher time. I think the reflection was not too great for him, but it has still been a fairly solid run overall from Sonic, I think. Sonic's now finishing up here with the 2000. He's going to go into 2500 in just a moment there.
Was he showing his splits on the screen?
Oh, yeah.
Checkpoint splits looks like.
Wow.
That is a 1:40 PB.
Wow.
Apparently for starcruncher. That is incredible. Yeah,
at his
exactly.
PB,
at his level of play,
huge.
that is ridiculous. To PB by that much.
Incredibly
GG.
good job there by starcruncher. GG indeed. Wow. That is something else.
Meanwhile, Sonic is in the coming up.
Oh,
on
he's going for the door skip. Let's see. Gets the first
There
one.
it is.
And he gets it. And a little teabag at the end. Just for good measure as well. Very nicely done there by Sonic.
And extra swag points as well for doing door skip with screen shake on. That has to be pretty difficult.
Sonic wins the race due to door skip. Sure thing. I love memes. Oh dear. Sonic's previously 39.24, so he's probably gonna miss it here by a minute or so. Unfortunately.
Still a very good run, you know. With this game, you know, I always say, with this game, like anything around, especially below, but anything around 40 minutes is an amazing time, just in general.
Absolutely.
So yeah, still should be very proud of this run for sure. Even just to be able to do this with any sort of consistency is quite a remarkable feat. And we are going to, I believe we have time to wait until both runners are finished before we go ahead and bring them in for an interview, should they choose to do an interview, so...
Yeah.
Downdraft done for Sonic. And now, just as weather tends to do in real life, switches from downdraft to updraft. Right? Weather does that in real life, right?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been to Mount Celeste, so it might be.
I should be your like one of your like sub goals or something. Just like actually climb Celeste.
That would be interesting. Somebody's gonna do that.
Yep, I think so. But yeah, I
sub
don't think
goal
whether
for
you
an IRL
changes. Yeah,
IRL stream
world record of Celeste.
of climbing Mount Celeste.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Anyway, Sonic now in the last 11 there. Yeah, that's 11. 11th flag here. So
I'll be completely honest with you. I do not even know the numbers for the flags. I do not know them.
I know where 9 is, and I know where 1 is. That's about it. I don't know why I know 9, I just do 2 for some reason.
That's 7.
Oh, and also I do know that 30 is at the start. Very
Yes.
important. Oops.
30 is at the start, and 29 is the one after that. And
Yeah.
28 is the one after that. That's all I know.
I think it's 26 after, but it might be 27. I'm not quite too sure about that. Anyway. So we now have starcruncher in the last little no-wind section, finally. So, as in, finally, no wind. Wind can be quite annoying to deal with. 4 little checkpoints left here. So he's gonna looking to finish here with a mid 41, I believe.
Looks like it, mid to low 41. Flag 2. Flag 2 is probably considered by most to be the most difficult flag to traverse here.
Yeah,
But
I'll
no
agree.
problem for Sonic.
Very nice of them. Has some weird like stamina management in the end, as well as like just the nerves, of course, after
Yeah,
being done with this like 40-minute game and just like
yeah.
coming up with that can be a bit daunting. But Sonic having no problem finishing up there with a, was that 41-30 something? 29.
41-29.
It's a very solid race there from Sonic. Very nice to see. And as you said, we do most likely have time here for a interview here. So we're gonna see if we can get both of them in for a quick chat before moving on.
All right, and we have starcrunsher in here for an interview. Welcome, starcrunsher, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is a monstrous PB for you. That's pretty substantial, man.
I have no idea how that happened.
Yeah, we were like, are we sure that his 3650 is actually his PB? But it is, right? Or it was.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, that's an absolutely ridiculous PB. So huge congratulations there, man. So
Yeah, definitely. So like we, you know, I know myself, like this game is all about dealing with nerves, like down the stretch. So what was I know this is kind of a cliche question, but what was going through your head down Summit?
What the heck? Multiple times.
What the heck is a pretty
That sounds about right.
pretty apt, I think, pretty apt description of what might be going through your head. PB pace down Summit, especially one that large. But yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking for sure. You handled it very, very well with a very clean Summit.
Yeah.
And GG, man.
Thank
That
you.
would feel good.
So we like didn't see way too many like big mistakes from you at all. It was a very solid run. Is there any like chapter you're particularly proud of in this run?
Chapter 3, and I think it was chapter 6 where I got 2 in-level PVs by over 10 seconds. So
Wow, that's really good.
when I looked right at the run, during the run.
And I think this is a testament as well to how well you handled those nerves down the stretch. It looks like the last 3 checkpoint splits down the stretch were golds for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's ridiculous, as well as a 28-second save, if my math is correct, on 3000.
That is correct, yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredibly impressive. So, wow. Don't know if we're gonna get Sonic in here, so I think we're gonna finish up then.
Yep.
Not sure
Yeah,
if you're
very
gonna hold
impressive
him.
stuff, starcrunsher, as well as sonic33blaster. If you're listening, that was a very, very good showing. Good race, man.
Yep.
Good race to
Couldn't
both
agree
you
more.
guys. Thank you guys for racing.
Thank you for commentating.
No worries, my pleasure, or our pleasure. So, what do we have coming up here? We have more Celeste, of course.
Yep.
I think just in 10 minutes over on Speed Gaming 5, if my memory serves me right.
Yep. Coming up, we have Lori D. Bunnykins versus RD Walsh V over on Speed Gaming 5, starting at 7 p.m. EDT. And I will be commentating that one as well. I'm sorry in advance.
I'm gonna go to bed, so you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll be commentating that one along with Duke Firebird, and yeah, be sure to follow these runners, guys. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yep, there we go. Follow starcrunsher and sonic33blaster. 2 very good runners of this game, and they're only getting better as well, as you saw here. So yeah, thank you guys very much.
Yeah, have a great day.